Thank you, friend. Shabbat Shalom. By his truth I can be upright. By his strength I do endure. By his power I've been lifted. In his love I am secure. Sukkot, Chol HaMoed. Friends, we are currently in the intermediate days of the 8-day festival known as Sukkot. There are different Torah readings which commemorate the first and the last days of the holiday, and one which marks the Sabbath that occurs within it. We are going to look at that Sabbath Parsha tonight. This is a biblical holiday to take place on the 15th day of the 7th month. Yes, friends, 3 major events take place in a 2-week period of the 7th month. Rosh Hashanah on the 1st day of the 7th month, Yom Kippur on the 10th day of the 7th month, and the Festival of the Tabernacle on the 15th day of the 7th month. And this holiday is one of 3 holidays which God sanctifies in the Bible that calls for the people to gather. It is when Jews the world over retreat to the little huts they attach to their homes, made from wood and reeds, where they eat and where some will actually sleep, and where many wonder why they are doing this. These huts are also known as booths or sukkots, and their origin is very fascinating. And we're given a clue about them in the Torah reading for this holiday Sabbath, which is Exodus 33:12. In this Parsha, Moses asks God how he will lead the people to the promised land. And God tells Moses he will travel with them. And Moses says, "Show me your glory." The man who hid his face at the sight of the burning bush out of fear of looking upon God has grown in his relationship with him and in his own confidence, and now tells God to show himself to him. God tells him his good will pass in front of them, and he says, "I shall show grace to whomever I show grace, and I shall show mercy to whomever I shall show mercy. And you won't be able to see my face, because a human will not see me and live." I and I, in creation where one's nature neither honors nor forgives. I and I, one say to the other, "No man sees my face and lives." And God says to Moses to stand with him on a rock. Friends, this scene alone shows the growing closeness between God and Moses. Whereas once Moses stood opposite God in Exodus 17:6 when he drew water from a rock, now he stands with him. And this juxtaposition has not gone unnoticed by our early sages. Rambam had commented on the growing relationship as evidenced by these 2 scenes. God then orders Moses to carve 2 new tablets and join him on the mountain. And Moses does this, and God descends on the mountain in his cloud. And Yahweh called out, "Yahweh, merciful and gracious God, slow to anger, and abounding in kindness and good faith, keeping kindness for the 1000th generation, bearing crime, trespass and offense, yet he does not wholly acquit, reckoning the crime of the fathers with the sons and sons of sons, to the 3rd generation and the 4th. And this, my friends, became the most repeated formula for God in the entire Tanakh. And this formula is expressed during the closest revelation between God and man in the entire Torah, and it is also perhaps the closest the Torah ever comes to describing the nature of God. There are many who see the Old Testament God as a God of wrath, and they focus on the episodes of anger. And there are many, but they tend to ignore this passage, which tells us the divine personality is about mercy and grace. Humans may never know what God's essence actually is, but in several ways we are told of God's compassion. The formula is not a carte blanche exoneration, for it does call for divine justice. After all, it says it will visit it on the 3rd and the 4th generation. But it is weighted in favor of divine mercy more than divine justice, and that is what we need to keep in mind. And the Parsha ends with God saying, "And you shall make a festival of weeks of the first fruits of the wheat harvest." And this is that festival. And our sages determined we should erect these booths for this festival, because these booths represent the covering or cloud that protected the people and preceded the march and was the vehicle of God and of wisdom. Almost all religions and spiritual systems believe in a grace that comes from on high. Divine grace, or God's grace, has been seen as a divine influence which exists in humans and brings about regeneration and sanctification. It inspires virtue, imparts strength, and allows us to endure trials and tribulations. You will find it in Christianity, Islam, Hinduism, but this Parsha may be the origin of that for the Western world. God shows grace, and he does so via his cloud and the booths, or sukkots, or holy ark covering. They are all the same word. This cloud of grace welcomes us every year. And so for an 8-day period, we too can be completely enmeshed in the grace of God and be honoring that grace by this practice. The wicked know no peace, and you just can't fake it. Wherever I am welcome is where I'll be. As I look around this world, all that I'm finding is the saving grace that's over me. Friends, enjoy your time in God's grace. It exists all around you all the time. But for this one brief moment in time, you can be aware of what you're enveloped in. And so remember, the next time someone invites you to share a meal in a sukkot, jump at the chance, because you will be surrounding yourself with the grace of God. Shabbat Shalom.